Hey guys, thanks for joining me. Today our theme is sinking in. We're going to stay fairly low to the ground and mainly work on diving into those muscles in our hips. A lot of times the tension we feel in our low back is associated with tension in our hips. So again, I'm only going to be using props that you can make at home. So if you don't have yoga props at home, which a lot of people don't, um, I'm demonstrating with a stack of books. And again, it's based on your level. So if you need more props to get your hand towards the floor, make a higher stack of books. This works for me. But again, make it work for you. And for a strap, I will just be using a scarf. So if you have yoga props, feel free to use them. If you don't use props, you don't really need it. It's just a way to keep the rest of your body relaxed as we move through some of these poses. Blocks are really great tools for a yoga practice, but I want this to be accessible to everybody. So I'm demonstrating with a stack of books and a scarf. So today we're going to start laying on our backs. So go ahead and set yourself up on your back, lower down, and just pull both knees into the chest. Maybe you rock from side to side here. You can make circles with the knees. Maybe even curling the forehead towards the knees, hugging the knees in, and as you pull the knees towards the chest, press the knees back into the arms and feel the low back round. And start to deepen the breath. And then keep the right knee in towards the chest. Extend your left leg long. Start to rock the right knee from side to side. Now, if you're really tight in your hip flexors, it might feel better for you to keep this left knee bent. Again, listening to your body. So our yoga practice isn't about getting to a finish line. It's just about connecting to ourselves. So go only to where it feels good to you. And then bring the hands onto the thigh behind the knee and just start to straighten and bend that right leg. So already you might be noticing how your hamstrings are feeling. You might even feel tightness along the back of your calf. Try to keep the shoulders relaxed here. And then straighten the leg. Bring the hands wherever it feels good onto the leg. If you need your strap here, if you're really tight in the back of the body, you can bring the strap around the ball of the foot. If you're more about here with the flexibility in the hamstring. Again, it's not a finish line. We're just working into those muscles. It might be the first movement you have today. So wherever you are, deepen the breath, press the heel towards the ceiling. And try to let go of that tension through the back of the leg. 2 more deep breaths here. Last full inhale. And as you exhale, bend that right knee. Bring the right knee into the left hand. Your right arm comes out wide in line with that right shoulder. Cross the right knee over to the left. And go only as far as that right shoulder stays planted. So if you start rolling up, press the right shoulder down. Bring that right knee a little further off the ground. Even using your stack of books here under the right knee. Keep the belly pulled in. Try to release the tension in the low back. One more deep breath in. Exhale it out. Inhale, come back to center. And either grabbing the right knee, or if you have a little bit more to go, the outside of that right foot, pull the right knee over towards the right side of the mat. So getting to the inside of that right hip. And you don't have to be still here. You can move around. And again, that left knee can stay bent. Take another full inhale. And a full exhale. Deep breath in. And then bring the right knee back to center. Extend the right leg to the bottom of the mat. And we'll switch sides. So your left knee comes in. And again, just massaging that hip, rocking the knee from side to side. Or making circles with the knee, anything that feels good for your hips this morning. Always an option to plant that right foot, keeping the right knee bent and pointing up towards the ceiling. And then bring your hands onto the thigh behind that left knee and start to straighten and bend the knee. Slowly waking up the hamstrings. Just a few more times here. Again, always an option to grab a strap, a scarf. Your dog's lead works really well. And then straighten the left leg. Keep the hands wherever it's comfortable for you. And just start to open up through that back of the left leg, the hamstring, maybe even feeling it in the calf and the ankle. Relax your shoulders. Three more deep breaths here. Inhale. And exhale. Deep breath in. Exhale 2. Full breath in. Exhale 3. Bend that left knee. Bring the right hand onto the left knee. Left arm out in line with that left shoulder. Cross the left knee over to the right and twist. So again, if that left shoulder starts to come off the mat, you've gone too far. Pull the left knee up a little further. Your core is engaged here to protect the back as you rotate. Three more deep breaths. Last deep breath in. Inhale, bring that knee back to center, either holding onto the knee with the left hand and pulling the left knee to the outside of the mat. Or if you have more to go, grabbing the outside of that left foot, coming into a half happy baby. Again, working on the inside of the hip. You'll probably also feel this along that right hip flexor. If it's too much for you on the front of that right leg, go ahead and bend the knee. Just a few more deep breaths. One more deep breath in. Inhale. Bring the left knee back to center. Bring both feet to the mat. Your knees are hip width apart. Inner hip width, so about a fist and a half for most people. Tuck the shoulders onto the back. Make sure that your ankles are underneath the knees, and as you inhale, tuck the tailbone. Feel the low back lengthen and slowly lift your hips up. Keep drawing the knees together. We don't want our legs splaying out wide as we're here. Relax the neck. Feel the front of the body opening up. Relax your toes. 3 more deep breaths. Inhale and exhale. Deep breath in. Exhale 2. Inhale. And as you exhale, lower the hips down. Draw the knees into the chest and start to rock forwards and backwards on your mat. Give yourself a few rocks. It's a really great spinal massage. It's fun. And then when you're ready, cross your ankles, roll over onto hands and knees. So if you'd like here, you can bring a pillow under the knees or fold the mat to make extra cushion for the knees. We're just going to start to make circles with the hips. So round your back up towards the ceiling and draw a circle to the left. So your left hip drops over to the left. Bring the belly down towards the mat, arching the back in the other direction as the right hip comes to the right, and then rounding back up. So these can be as slow or as fast as you'd like. Once again, remembering our theme here is sinking in. So we really want to connect to these muscle groups in our body. So I know in my own practice, going slower helps me to focus more, to give my body the space to sink in. About 1 more round in this direction. And then when you arch your back up towards the ceiling again, switch direction. So your right hip will drop over to the right. Belly releases down towards the mat as you move towards the left. And then once again, rounding towards the ceiling. Taking your time. And I really like this cat-cow variation in the mornings and in the evenings to wake up my spine and then to release my spine from the day I've had. 1 more round in this direction. And then when you arch back up towards the ceiling, tuck the chin into the chest. Really press the hands into the floor. Maybe you round so much that your knees come to a hover. And then slowly release. Find your neutral spine, so flat back here. Make sure that your knees are underneath your hips. Walk the hands forward, coming into your puppy pose. Chest releases down towards the mat. You can bring the chin to your mat, look forward towards your fingertips, or bring the forehead down. You feel the opening in the arms and shoulders. So you might feel this run all the way from the armpit down to the wrist, depending on how tight the backs of your arms are. Focus on lengthening the spine. One more full inhale here. And then slowly pull yourself forward onto the belly. You want your elbows beneath the shoulder, or they can come slightly in front. Press the hands actively into the floor. So use the heel of the hand here and pull as if you were pulling the floor toward you. Pull the chest forward and really bring those shoulders down the back. You should feel a lengthening in the lower back. Keep the belly engaged here, again, trying to protect the low back. Relax the neck. One more full inhale. Exhale, lower the chest down. Bring the hands underneath the shoulders. Press back into your tabletop. And then tuck the toes, lift the hips, find your downward facing dog. So we've already done quite a bit here to open up through the back of the body, but you still might be a little tight. So if your heels are lifted, that's fine. You just energetically want to press them as if they could reach the floor. But depending on the tightness in your Achilles tendon, that may not be accessible for you. Find some ease here. Pull the chest back towards the thighs. Relax the head. On your next inhale, reach your right leg up towards the ceiling. Bend the right knee, pull the right heel towards the left hip. Look underneath that left shoulder. Keep the hips squared. Keep the shoulders squared, hips stacked. Another deep breath in. And then exhale. As gently as you can, step that right foot forward to the front of the mat. Lower down the left knee. Bring the hands to either side of that right foot. Sit the hips low. Pull the shoulder blades together. Chest is proud. So again, you'll feel this in the front of that left hip, the hip flexor, and maybe even a little bit along the back of that right leg. And then sit the hips back enough that you can turn those left toes over towards the right side of the mat. So it's an open lunge or a modified warrior two. From here, bring the hands to the inside of the right foot. If this is enough for you, stay here. Otherwise, we'll try to find that puppy pose in the back. So walking the hands at about a 45-degree angle from the hips, and then forward, releasing the chest down. So from the hips to the fingertips, you're in a puppy pose. Your legs are in this open lunge. Relax the head and neck. And then see if you can relax in the hips and really invite this opening in the right hip. Keep tracking that right knee over towards the right side of the mat as much as you can, preventing it from caving in towards that right shoulder. Creating space between the right shoulder and the right hip. Three deep breaths. Inhale. Exhale, let go a little more. Deep breath in. Exhale, 2. Inhale. And as you exhale, start to walk the hands in towards the body and then over towards the left side of the mat. So you'll straighten that right leg. Depending on your body, your toes either point forward. Mine tend to be at a 45-degree angle, or you can bring them parallel to the short side of your mat. Your left hand comes underneath that left shoulder. Reach the right arm towards the back of your mat. Press through the outside of that right foot. Press the hips forward and breathe. One more full inhale. And a full exhale. As you inhale again, use the core, pull yourself up to center. You'll bring the hands around to frame that right foot. Your left toes turn towards the back of your mat. Your right toes are facing forward. Flex the right foot, pull the right toes back towards the face, and then pull your chest forward towards the toes, fold over that right leg. One more deep breath in. And then bend back into that right knee. You're going to walk the right foot over towards the right side of your mat. So a little wider than hip distance here. See if you can drop into that left hip a little more. Make sure that the right knee doesn't go past that right ankle here, right? We want to make sure that we keep our knee safe. So if anything, it can be a little behind, but not over the ankle. You can stay here if this is enough in that left hip flexor. If you have a little bit more to go, left hand under the left shoulder, bend that left knee, reach around for the foot with the right hand. Pulling that left foot in towards the body. If you still have a little bit more, you can bring that left hand out in front of you, lowering down to the forearm. Relax the head and neck. Sink into your hips, both the right hip and the left hip. Slowly start to release that left foot. Don't let it rubber band snap back down. Right hand to the mat. Come back onto the palms here, and you'll walk that right foot over to the left side of your mat. Lower down the knee and the hip. So ideally, your shin is parallel to the front of your mat. Realistically, it's probably pretty close to the body. Make sure you don't feel any pinching or pain in the knee. If you still have the hips lifted, go ahead and use your books underneath the hip so that you can keep the hips squared as you fold forward. So give yourself really some time to fold forward, swaying side to side, getting deeper and deeper into that right hip until you find your edge. And then relax down. 8 deep breaths here. And see where you could soften a little more. And can you relax the jaw? Can you relax the tongue away from the teeth? And through the shoulders, the back of the neck. Four more deep breaths. Last full inhale. And then start to walk the hands back in towards the body. From here, roll over onto that right hip. Bring the left knee in towards the body. So you want this left knee about in line with the left hip. Keep the feet flexed here to protect the knee. So you've got a pinwheel shape here. And from here, we're just going to walk the hands back. So you'll start to feel this in the front of that left leg. My hip flexors are pretty tight today. So this is about as far as I can go. If you have more to go, you can come down to the elbows. But if you start to feel pinching or cramping in the hip or in the knees, just come back up. Again, we're not working towards a finish line. And we'll take 8 more deep breaths here. And 3 more deep breaths. And then slowly walk the hands back in. So we're coming from here into knee pile pose or shoelace pose. You'll keep the right leg where it is. Bring the left leg around. I'm going to turn forward so you can see me. So the goal here is to stack the knees. This isn't accessible for everybody. It's a pretty deep outer hip stretch. So if you're more like this, that's fine. You can pull the knee into the chest, or you can extend that right leg forward and then try to stack the knees. You have the option here to fold forward. I find it a little bit more challenging to stay seated with my shoulders stacked over my hips. So I'm going to stay seated for this one. But if you'd like, you can begin to fold forward. Make sure that your hips are rooted though. As you fold forward, if the hips begin to lift, again, you've gone too far. Come back and try again next time to go a little bit deeper. Relax the jaw. Soften the muscles around your eyes. Last 3 deep breaths. Inhale and exhale. Deep breath in. Exhale 2. Inhale. Exhale, 3. As you inhale, if you're folded, begin to lift. So from here, start to lift the hips up. Make sure your left foot is planted firmly on the mat. Bring the hands in front of you, towards the front of the mat, in front of that left foot. Unravel that right leg. Extend it towards the back of the mat. Again, hips stacked, right toes pointing towards the right side of the mat. Release the head and neck. And then rotate that right hip. Bring the right toes back down towards the ground, stepping to the back of the mat. And your left foot steps back to meet the right, downward facing dog. So that was a pretty long sequence on the right side of the body. Do whatever you need to work it out, twisting from side to side, pedaling the feet. If you'd like to take a vinyasa, feel free to do so. But take just a moment here to notice the difference between how the right leg feels and how the left leg feels. One more deep breath in. And then inhale, reach your left leg up towards the ceiling. Bend that left knee, pull the left heel towards the right hip. And then look underneath that right shoulder, keeping the shoulders squared. One more deep breath in. Exhale, gently step the left foot forward towards the front of your mat. Lower the right knee down. Again, putting any padding under that right knee that you might need. Chest pulls forward and then drop down into that right hip. So you have an idea of where we're going here. You can let go a little bit more. And for me, this side's always a little bit tighter. So keep that in mind as we move forward. Don't expect your body to behave the same way on this side. It's okay if it doesn't. It's pretty normal. We're wonderfully asymmetrical. Shift the hips back. Turn the right toes towards the left side of the mat. So again, this modified warrior 2. Bring the hands to the inside of your left foot, and if that's enough for you, stay here. If you have more to go, you'll walk the hands at a 45-degree angle from the hips, finding that puppy pose from the hips to the fingertips, lengthening the spine, creating space between the left shoulder and the left hip. Relax your head and neck. 5 deep breaths here. Last 3 breaths. As you inhale again, walk the hands in towards your body. And you'll start to walk them over towards the right side of the mat as you straighten the left leg, right hand underneath the right shoulder, left arm reaches up and over. Pressing out through the outside edge of that left foot. One more full inhale. Your next inhale brings you all the way up to center. Windmill the hands down to frame the left foot. both toes, or right toes point towards the back of the mat, left toes are pointing forward, and then they pull back towards the chest as you fold over that left leg. Relax your head and neck. And let your breath take you deeper into this. So every inhale, you lengthen, maybe even coming out of the pose a little bit, and then exhale, sinking back into it. One more really deep breath in, and a full breath out. Inhale, bend into that left knee once again. And you'll walk the left foot out towards the left side of the mat. Hands come to the inside of that left foot. So again, this might be enough for you on this side. If you're right dominant, the right hip flexor is probably a little bit tighter. So go where it feels good to you. Option to come down to the forearms, or to bend that right knee and reach for the right foot, pulling it toward the body. Again, every exhale, allowing those hips to soften a little closer toward the mat. Try to keep the head, neck, and shoulders relaxed here. Last 2 deep breaths. Slowly releasing that right foot, coming back onto the palms. You'll start to walk the left foot over towards the right side of the mat, setting up our pigeon pose on this side, lowering down the knee and the hip. So once again, to keep the hips squared, if you need a prop underneath the hip, feel free to put a pillow or your books there. You want to make sure that both hips are even before you start to fold. And again, this side's probably going to be a little or a lot different from the other one. Take your time, slowly rocking back and forth as you lower down. And then when you get to where you're going, soften the muscles in the face, relax the head and neck. 8 deep breaths. Four more breaths. Last full inhale. And a full exhale. So as you inhale, start to walk the hands in. Roll over onto that left hip and bring the right knee in towards the left heel. So again, finding that pinwheel shape. As much as you can, try to keep that right knee in line with the right hip. And once again, you'll walk the arms back. So only to where it feels good to you. You have an idea of how long we're going to be here. It's not too long, but don't push yourself too far. Go to where you're comfortable, feeling this in the front of that right hip. And I feel it quite a lot today. Three more breaths. On your next inhale, walk the hands back in, moving slowly. Coming back into our shoelace or knee pile pose. So stacking this time the right knee over the left. And again, each side is different. The most important thing is that both hips are firmly planted on your mat. So adjust as needed, maybe extending the left leg long. You can stay with me seated, or if you'd like, option to fold. Again, making sure those hips stay firmly planted on the mat. If you're staying seated with me, try to pull the shoulders back, feeling the shoulders stack over the hips. And then from here, once again, you'll lift out of the hips. Enough so that you can bring that right foot firmly planted on the mat. Shift the weight into the right foot as you bring the hands in front. Unravel, lift the left leg up, point the left toes towards the left side of the mat, open that left hip back up, relax the head and neck. And then left toes come to point down towards the mat. Bend the right knee enough that you can plant the palms and step back, downward facing dog. 3 deep breaths here. Inhale and exhale. Deep breath in. Exhale 2. Last full inhale. Exhale, bring the knees down to the mat. Bring the knees about mat distance apart if that feels good to you. Sit the hips back to the heels, child's pose. And I like to bring my arms out wide here so that my chest and shoulders can relax down as well. Do what feels good to you. Noticing the space you've created in your hips. Noticing how the low back feels. Do you feel a release in tension from the beginning of your practice? And then walk the hands in towards the body, come up to seated. Roll over onto one hip, bring your legs around in front. So one of the last things we'll do to end this practice is a supported bridge pose. We'll be here for quite some time, so if you're not using props, just keep that in mind. We'll do some equal part breathing to help slow down our breath and our bodies from our practice before we move towards Shavasana. So you'll bring your feet once again about hip distance apart, inner hip distance. Lay down onto your back. Lift the hips and then slide your block or your books underneath your hip. If it's a stack of books, make sure they're stacked properly so you don't fall. Rest the hips down, and you can stay here. This is a pretty nice way to open up the front of the body, but if you'd like, you can extend the legs out long. This will just get a little bit deeper into those hip flexors that we've been working. You can reach the arms overhead. I like to grab opposite elbows. And here we'll do a few rounds of equal part breathing. We'll inhale for 4 and exhale for 4. I'll do the counting, you'll do the breathing. But we'll all start together by taking a full inhale. Fill your lungs all the way up. Exhale all the breath out. Inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Last round. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Take a deep breath in and a full breath out. Release opposite elbows if the arms are overhead. Start to bend back into the knees, bringing the feet to the floor. Press into the feet, lift the hips off your books, remove them to the side. Hips come down and draw the knees into the chest. So just like how we started, rocking side to side, massage the low back. And then bring the arms out wide to a T. Let the knees fall over to the left. If it feels good on your neck, look over towards that right hand. Inhale, bring the knees back to center. Exhale, knees drop over to the right. Again, looking over at that left hand if it feels good for you. Inhale, let the knees come back to center. Maybe give them one last squeeze in towards the body. And then release. Bring the legs out wide towards the bottom of the mat. Bring the arms out by the sides. Take a moment here and shift the hips around. Tuck the shoulder blades on the back. Maybe rock the head from side to side. Scan the body. Notice where you could release tension. And with each exhale, sinking deeper and deeper into your relaxation. Letting the breath come naturally. And I recommend staying here for 5 to 10 minutes. Allowing your body time to process your practice. And to absorb the work you've put in. As you prepare to move off the mat and into the rest of your day. I thank you for practicing with me today, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Namaste.